Hey YouTubers, welcome to the first episode of Rod's Guitar Workshop. So you're probably thinking, just what YouTube needs, some more guitar lessons. Well, hopefully these are going to be a little different. I've been playing guitar and teaching guitar for over 30 years, and I've noticed that there's tons of information on scales and what chords and how they relate to one another and so forth, but there's not a whole lot of information on what to do with it and how to apply it to your own playing style. So what I thought would be kind of cool is to take some of the things that I've learned over the years, and especially on trying to develop your own voice on the instrument. You know, I'm not going to show you songs. We're not going to sit here and learn to play Sweet Child of Mine. There's plenty of those videos on YouTube that are done way better than I could ever do them. But what I can do is I can share some of the stuff I've learned over the years as far as trying to develop your own sound and put your own spin on stuff. So if you happen to be playing in a band and you'd like some ways to kind of get your own voice to put with these cover songs, that's always kind of been my thing. I like to try and put my own spin on things if I didn't write it. So these kind of things is what I hope to be able to kind of help with here. Some of it will be kind of basic at first, so there's something for everybody. But we'll be getting into a lot of different stuff as far as lead lines and stuff like that. So without further ado, the first topic we're going to talk about is going to be really knowing the notes on the guitar. One of the things that I've seen over the years is that no one really has a solid understanding of what all of these notes are all up and down the fingerboard. And the problem with that is you have no idea what you're playing. So one of the benefits of the guitar is everything is very pattern based, right? So we can learn a chord, we can play these shapes. I know this is D because the book told me that's a D. If I put my fingers there, that's D. If I have a bar chord, I can move it around. Again, it's a shape. Scales, all movable shapes. The disadvantage we have in that, while that's a huge advantage as far as learning things quickly, it's also a pretty big disadvantage because we have no idea what we're playing. So one of the biggest things you can do to take your playing to the next level is going to be to know the notes up and down the fingerboard inside and out. It changes everything. Imagine the power in being able to look down and know exactly what notes you're playing in any given chord. Knowing when you're playing a scale what notes work with the chords without too much thought. It's really a huge deal. And it's really simple. There's nothing difficult about it. It's a little harder as we get older to try and memorize, right? So I'm going to show you some tricks to kind of get this down. First off, the concept is incredibly simple. Basically, the musical alphabet goes from A to G and then repeats itself. And it's divided into whole steps and half steps. So to be clear, first off, a whole step on the guitar is fret to fret with one in between it. So these would be whole steps. Okay? A half step on the guitar is fret to fret. So these would be half step motions. Okay? There's all of the notes between A and G are whole steps except for between two sets of notes. The notes E and F is a half step, and the note B to C is a half step. E and F and B and C. All the rest are going to be a whole step. In between the whole step is where we're going to have a half step, and that's where your sharp or flat comes into play. So if I'm at the 3rd fret of my low E, that's a G note. If I go up 1 fret, that's G sharp or A flat, and then A. So a whole step up from G is A half step up would be G sharp or A flat. Okay? We use a sharp or flat to determine, as we refer to it, is determined by what key you're in. Okay? But don't worry too much about that right now. So when I was learning these as a kid, I could never really memorize them as one big group. So what I did is I learned them off the dots. We have dots at the 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 12th frets. So I sat down one night and went G, A, B, C, D, E. After the 12th fret, all the notes repeat themselves again. So if this is F, this is F. If this is G, this is G. Okay? So we've eliminated half the board already once we learn to the 12th fret. Okay? It's very easy to count them up. So I can start with my open string. E to F is a half step. So F would be at the 1st fret. Okay? keep losing my strap here. F to 1 fret up is F sharp, okay, or G flat. 1 more half step up is G. G goes to A as a whole step, so the 1 fret up from G is G sharp, okay. Then to A sharp, B, C, C sharp, or D flat, I'm using sharps for E's, D, D sharp, and E, okay? And just like that, you have 1 string done pretty quickly. If you have the low E, you now have the high E too. So we've eliminated 2 of the strings already once you get that down. Adding the A string in is simple. It starts with A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, and A. Okay? So the 2 strings that are really important to know pretty quickly are going to be your E and your A string. That's where your bar chords are all based. That's where all your scales are all based, typically with root notes. So those are going to be the ones you're going to want to have pretty quickly. Now you can do the same thing with these other ones, but I'm going to show you a little trick. An octave is 8 notes apart on a major scale. So it's the 2 do's. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That's an octave. And if I play them at the same, that's an octave in the pattern. And it's always the same. Here's where that pattern thing comes in to help us out. So if my root note is on the E, and I go 2 frets up, and I skip the A string, and I fret the 5th fret on the D string, those are both a G. So for example, if I get up here as I'm trying to get these kind of wrapped around my head, if I slide up here and I'm not sure what that note is, just go down the octave, and there's the G. This is A. Octaves are great. We're going to talk more about them, introducing them into your lead stuff down the road a bit. But for a way to kind of cheat and find the notes is great. If I move everything down 1 string, so I would be on the A string 3rd fret, the G string 5th fret, that's the octave from the A string. So if I say, what's this note? Well, I'm not sure. Jump down the octave. Pretty quickly you can find out, well, that's E. I know that because these are the 2 really important strings. Now when I get down to D and G strings, the pattern for the octaves shifts a little bit. So I'd have a D string if I'm on the D string 5th fret. The octave is going to be the B string at the 8th fret. So I have 2 frets in between the skipped string. So if I said, well, what's this note? Well, I don't know. Jump down the octave. I know that's G, but if you didn't know that, you could jump back down. And there's your 2nd octave all the way to the bottom. And same thing for the high string. So we'd have G and high E. Same 2 frets apart. So here in this instance I'm on the G string at the 7th fret and then the high E string at the 10th fret. That's my octave, so I can jump down. That's a D, that's a D, that's a D. So ultimately you would want to be able to work these concepts so you know what they are at a glance. Okay, you don't want to be counting up. Well, I can count them up. Is that you? Are you the guy that has to count them up? Or moreover, you don't even have any idea what you're playing? You know? So we want to eliminate all that from your playing. The better you know this, the better of a player you're going to be, period. And the easier everything becomes because you actually understand the instrument. And then you can kind of dissect these patterns that everything's broken down on and work that into your playing. So if you don't know this stuff, I would really work this as into part of your playing and try and really get a handle on the next couple weeks. And I think you'll really see that your playing goes to the next level pretty quickly just by understanding the instrument that we play. If you think about it, if you play just about any other instrument other than fretted instruments, you actually have to know all the notes, right? So if you played piano, you'd have to learn all of the notes in all 12 keys, and that'd be a fair amount of your practice. If you played saxophone, same thing. You know, you'd have to learn what all these scales were. We can learn 1 scale pattern, right? And I can play that in all 12 keys instantly. Again, the disadvantage is I have no idea what I'm playing unless I know what the notes of the neck are. So hopefully you can see how important that is and how that will help your playing. If you get something out of these, I'd appreciate it if you subscribe. That helps me. Like it. That somehow helps too. I don't fully understand the YouTube thing, but I hope to be doing these in series pretty regularly, at least for a while, to see if anyone's getting anything from them. If no one's getting anything from them, probably will stop doing them. But I think that could be helpful for a lot of people, especially who are at a certain place in their playing and really want to kind of come up with their own voice. There's always more information as well at rodchubb.com, rodchubb.com, if you're interested in checking that stuff out too. Also, if you have any questions on a topic that you'd like to see, post it in the comments section, and if it's something that kind of fits in with what I'm trying to do here, I will go ahead and try and cover that as well. So, as always, thanks for checking this out. Hope you got something from it. Have a fantastic day.